Good morning, Periscope. How are you today? Just gonna flip this around to tell Periscope to go into landscape mode. Good to see you all. Welcome to those of you joining the replay. My name's Darren. Hey Ethan, how are you? Those of you joining the replay, you might want to skip forward just a minute or so till I get into the meat of it. I'll probably do this so you can kind of see me waving at that point in the scrubbing of it. Hey, how are you there, Andrea? Good to see you. We're going to talk about the rules of blogging today, and I've got a slightly different take on it. I know some of you are probably cringing at the idea that there are rules, and I do as well. I'll just put that disclaimer up front. What's going on today? Hey Jamie, how are you? Hi Lil and Katrina, good to see you, and Basista. Nice to see you all tuning in today. Hopefully you're having a good day. It is going to be a hot one here in Melbourne apparently. We're kind of heading towards summer, so I am sitting here in shorts and t-shirt waiting for it to get warm, but actually feeling a bit chilly for some reason this morning. So it's certainly no heat wave yet. If you think that you have a blogging followership on Twitter or Periscope, you might want to share this one because we are going to talk about blogging today, although some of this kind of relates, I think, to different social media as well. So if you think it's going to be useful to your followers, feel free to share. You can also share at the end, of course, if you want to do that. I hope your connection stays on as well. Thanks for that share, Jamie. Appreciate that. And you too, Carrie. Going to let everyone join in, and then we're going to get straight into it. What are you working on today? What is your focus? It's 9:30 in the morning here. Hopefully you're not procrastinating too much and you're getting into the day if you're in Australia. And those of you in America, hopefully you've had a good day. Thank you for all those shares. This is fantastic. All right, I want to get into this talk about the rules of blogging, and I'm going to wave for those of you on the replay. That was your signal to stop scrubbing. Okay, that's my strategy, at least, to try and get you here at the right time. So I want to talk about the rules of blogging, and this actually comes out of a conversation that I just had a few minutes ago with a blogger who asked me, you know, what are the rules? She was a new blogger and she didn't want to break the rules. And I was kind of like, okay, what are the rules of blogging? And I began to kind of go through in my mind all of these things that I would tell a new blogger to do or not to do. And I kind of made a list of them in my mind. And as I made the list, I had this growing tension that for every rule that I could come up with, I could think of a blogger who broke that rule really well. And was still succeeding as a result, even though they were breaking it. So these are some of the kind of things that kind of went through my head. And I'm not going to put these out there as the rules, but these are the kind of things that I see people advising bloggers to do or not to do. You know, post every day is a big one. Make your posts over 400 words because it's better for search engine optimization. WordPress is the only platform to consider. Always build on a self-hosted blog. Always have comments on your blog. Always have dates on your blog posts. Always have a .com rather than anything else. Never have a blogspot blog. Always have a personal conversational tone to your writing. You have to be on Facebook. You have to be on Twitter. You have to be on Pinterest. The list goes on and on in that one. Always use your real name. Don't blog anonymously. Always use your photo. It makes your blog more personal. Always have a niche and always stick to it. Don't go outside that niche. Create an avatar for your reader. You have to know who your reader is and just write for that specific type of person. Every post you write has to have a graphic and it has to be visual. The best way to grow your blog is to always be commenting on other blogs. Now, these are some of the rules. And as I go through that list, on one hand, I'm thinking this is good advice. These rules all come from a good place and with good intent. The people who tell them share those rules and share that advice for good reason. It makes sense. It's generally pretty good advice. But and I guess the other factor there is that this is what most bloggers do. Most of those things that I just read out, most bloggers do most of those things. They work. But the problem is that when you follow the rules, when you follow the norm, you end up with a fairly normal blog. And you end up with a fairly vanilla blog as well, because everyone ends up doing exactly the same thing. And so as I look around the niches that I'm in and other people's niches, what I see is a lot of blogs looking very similar to one another. They post the same kind of posts, they have the same kind of frequency, their blogs look similar, they have the same kind of design and the same kind of visual elements. They engage on the same social networks, and they post in the same ways. I was just on Instagram the other day and looking at a whole heap of Instagram accounts in the one niche, and you couldn't tell the difference between them. They all had the same kind of filters and the same kind of graphics and the same kind of quotes, and these blogs have the same opinions, and they monetize using the same advertisers or the same affiliate programs, and they create the same kind of products. And they feature the same kind of thought leaders and interview the same kind of people. And whilst I kind of understand why people want to follow what is working for other people, it's actually a trap, I think. Now, when you're the big blog, when you're the first blog, you can probably get away with doing what everyone else does because you're probably the leader. But if you're a new blogger and you're trying to break into a niche, following the rules, doing the normal things, it's going to be hard for you to stand out. Breaking convention is one of the best ways to stand out, and by definition, differentiating yourself from the crowd means you have to do something different from everyone else. Great bloggers, most of the most successful bloggers that I've come across have broken at least some of the rules. They've set their own path. And they've become distinct. They've built a distinct brand by doing that. So I guess there's a tension here, and it's a tension that you should be feeling as you go forward with your blog or your Periscope account or your YouTube account or whatever it might be. You need to kind of know the rules and know what everyone's doing, and some of those things you probably should be doing, but you need to choose to break some rules as well and to do something a little bit different. So we did a podcast, I think it went live on Monday. It's the last podcast over at problogger.com/podcast. And it was with a guy called Dan Norris, who has a great blog called the WP Curve. And the whole podcast was about content marketing, but one of the things that we kind of got into was how to differentiate yourself. And Dan kind of went through 7 different ways to differentiate yourself. And he talked about you don't have to do it in any of these ways, but these are just 7 ways that you could do it. And I think that they're kind of a good starting point to think about these 7 different areas that maybe you could break some rules in. One, he said you can be different by revealing secrets and by being very transparent, more transparent than everyone else. The second one is you can out-hustle everyone. So you work harder, you post more. And the example he gave is John Lee Dumas with his podcast, which is a daily podcast. Everyone else was doing weekly podcasts. He decided to go daily and differentiated himself by going with a different frequency and working at a higher level than perhaps what most people were doing. Another example is giving. The third one was giving more. So being more generous than everyone else. Number 4 was, use more data than everyone else. So actually, get right into the statistics and differentiate yourself in that particular way. Another example was, number 5 was, be funnier than everyone else. Use Marie Forleo to do that as an example of that. Number 6 was, do something first. And this is harder to do, but it may not be your niche. It might be a type of post that you do that's different to everyone else. And the example he used was Pat Flynn with his income reports. Everyone had blogs about blogging and making money online, but he was the first one to really run hard with, being very transparent about his income. And number 7 was be distinct by doing something different with your design and out-designing everyone else. Now that's just 7 things that you can do to differentiate yourself, and each of those 7 things might break a rule in your particular niche. The key is to find something to do that is different to the crowd. As I said before, differentiating yourself, standing out, means going against the norm, just by definition. It takes courage, though, to do that. When you do something different to other people, when you do something that breaks the norm, it could set you up for critique. And it may not work, but it's the only real way to break out from the crowd. And it's scary, just as you did say there, Justin. So I just found a couple of quotes that I really loved. I love this one from Rollo May. The opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. So the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. So doing what everyone else is actually the opposite of courage. Mark Twain said, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. Love that quote. There's truth in that one too. Maya Angelou said, if you are always trying to be normal, you never know how amazing you can be. John Lennon said, it's weird not to be weird. Which I think is true too. I actually think it's weird looking at all these blogs that look pretty much the same and are doing exactly the same thing, because they're all created by individuals, and so they should be different. And then Ralph Waldo Emerson said, imitation is suicide. And I think it is actually true that, if you decide to set out to be a blogger who's just doing what everyone else is doing, then unfortunately, that's not going to lead to a whole heap of life, and that's not going to lead to success, I guess, in the long run. So that's my thought for the day. I know it doesn't actually tell you what to do, and that's hard. I like to tell people what to do, but I guess it's about learning those rules, learning what everyone is doing, choosing to take some of those things on, because we can't be completely different in every way. We don't want to be completely opposite to everyone else. But also looking for those opportunities to do something a little bit different and to stand out from the crowd. Hopefully that's helpful for you today, as in the situation that you find yourself in. Purple cow, exactly. That's the Seth Godin, principle there. I hadn't actually thought of that. I'm sure there's some good Seth Godin quotes that I could use there as well. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate that. It's just kind of struck me. I actually thought of this in the shower this morning. I was like, I need to talk about this today. Just having had that conversation this morning with another blogger wanting those rules, I thought, let's do it. Have you made a mistake by making your blog your business name instead of your personal name? I don't know. There's no right or wrong with that. I've seen bloggers who have gone each way with that. Bloggers who have used their personal name as their blog, like Pat Flynn. Well, no, he's got Smart Passive Income. Let me think of a blogger. You've got a blogger like John Chow, who's a Make Money online blogger who's used his name. I personally like to not use my name as my business name. Jeff Bullis would be a great example. Michael Hyatt, there's some great examples, probably better examples than John Chow Marie. I personally have chosen to not use my name because I guess in the back of my mind I'm thinking, well, one day I might like to sell the business, and so to do so, it probably would be easier to do so if I'm actually not British. I'm actually an Australian. So see you later. It's funny what people say, teenagers. So yeah, I've chosen to keep my business as my business name, and then to use my name as part of that business and personally brand it, I guess, to some degree. But digital photography school, for example, I decided to decide not to use my name really on it at all, just because I think it's a business in and of itself. So I think you can go either way. It's probably the best answer I can give you on that one. More than happy to hang out for another 10 or 15 minutes if you do want to ask some questions. Yeah, the trolls aren't so much fun, are they? But you kind of just got to keep going on. I tend to try and ignore them, but when they persist, they need to be sent away. Yes, I am a real life Australian. Yeah, sometimes I haven't had too much trolling lately. Yeah, you should expect the ProBlogger redesign soon. I'm hoping by the end of the year. Really hoping that we'll get there. But it's such a massive job. So, and we've got a couple of massive projects going on at the moment. We've got Digital Photography School. We're doing our 12 Days of Christmas campaign, which kicks in mid-December. So our developers kind of have to work on that as well as the design. So yeah. How do I feel if people steal my ideas? Look, it's a tough one. You know, you do see it from time to time. Ideas, it's a tricky one because, you know, I'm a believer that lots of people will end up having the same kind of ideas as well. And so, you know, I don't have a monopoly on the ideas that I have. I'm sure other people have thought of some of those things before as well. And so it's where people take the exact stuff and put that on their own site and say that they came up with it. That's probably where I go harder, you know, at people as well. So if I see someone taking a piece of content that I wrote or one of my writers wrote, and they post it as their content on their blog, that's where I will go hard at them and issue them with a DMCA takedown notice. But if they're writing on similar topics and it's not clearly my idea that they've taken because it's written exactly the same way, I tend to just let it be and move on. I prefer to spend more of my time creating new things than protecting my turf. I guess the other factor there is I think it can really hurt your brand by going at other people and attacking other people, I guess, in different ways. Yeah, it's the copy and paste stuff that distresses me the most. Then I see that from time to time, people, you know, taking lots of our content and posting all of it on their blog and not giving any credit. That's where I get a bit angry and have been known to go public with that kind of stuff as well. You're welcome, Dyson. Thanks for coming by. Photo Tutor. Oh, cool. So we've got our photography site. What's your link of your site, Photo Tutor? You can say that you like my shirt. It's a new one. It's kind of, I'm not sure about the color. It's not quite my color. You're a Turk. Okay, I've been to Turkey. I like Turkey. Istanbul, we went Gallipoli, we as Australians tend to, lots of things, lots of places. DMCA, it's a legal notice where you can issue a copyright kind of takedown notice. If you Google DMCA, you'll find it, and you'll get some good examples of letters that you can use. Do you use social bookmarking? Do you have blogs for backlinks? I don't do much bookmarking at the moment. I used to do that. It's probably a bit of an slightly old-fashioned. Reddit probably is I guess the main one that people use today, which probably isn't even bookmarking anymore. And I don't blog for backlinks. No, I don't get into trying to build links at all. Do you feel Periscope should be used for just talking about business things? No, not at all. I think Periscope probably is at its best when people are out and about sharing what they're doing. It's great for breaking news if you're on the spot in a place. It's great if you have a blog that's more visual. So I think food bloggers could be, you know, cooking in front of the camera and sharing what they do. If you're a travel blogger, I think it would be great. Scoping in your garden would be great. Good idea, Jody. I think if you're doing anything that's got visual appeal, then Periscope's probably ideal. I think standing in front of a camera and talking like I'm doing is possibly not the most engaging use of Periscope, but seems to go over okay as well. Do you include the Periscope videos in your blog posts? So we have started to do that a little bit. So I have been embedding them as pages, but we've got a post coming up this week where I took one of my scopes, and then I've also created some other content, some written content that goes around the embed as well. So we're embedding using Catch Me. How do you find something to talk about? I think usually for me it comes out of something that I'm feeling strongly about. So this topic today was something that I kind of was a bit passionate about as I thought about it, and also a lot of the questions that I get from readers turned into blog posts, but also Periscopes as well. Someone just asked about political blogs and how to monetize them. It's a really tricky niche to monetize. I've not really ever met a full-time political blogger. I'm sure there are. I'm sure some blogs have done it, but really, I don't know the answer to that. You'd probably need a lot of page views and probably monetize through advertising, or I guess if you could write a book or something like that. But it's really, really tricky. Go to books of your topic and read Amazon reviews. Gives you ideas for topics. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the more you blog, the more ideas you'll get, because you'll get questions from people. Hey, see you, Torpedo. And you'll also get you get feedback and you get ideas as you're doing things as well. And on Periscope, you get questions like some of these questions you're asking now could easily become new blog posts or new Periscopes as well. So you got to just pay attention to the questions you get, but also the questions that you think of as you go. I'm using my iPhone 6S Plus camera, Townies Bagels. Yep, bold. Proud of it. Actually, there's a little bit of hair up there. You mainly do political blogging, never tried monetizing. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Look, I would be looking at what the big political bloggers are doing in terms of monetizing their blogs. That's probably your best bet to look at. Having said that, I just talked about not doing what everyone else does, but that may be one thing that you might want to look at. Are you moving more of your time to video? I'm enjoying video. It's giving me energy, and I'm finding it a good way of, I guess, repurposing content as well, to be able to deliver it live and then to use it as an embed, or to deliver it live, develop the ideas and then use it as a podcast. So I guess I have been moving into podcasting and video as well. G'day from Jamaica, good to see you. Maybe set up a tip jar. Yeah, I have actually seen a number of political bloggers and more business, that kind of style blogger use tip jars. I don't know how it works, but it might be something to look at. Audio courses. I'm not sure I'll be doing any audio courses. We are looking at doing some little video courses next year on ProBlogger. It's something that we're certainly considering as a team at the moment. How are you using Periscope with your blog? As I just said before, we're taking some of them, not all of them, but some of them and putting them on the blog as embeds using CatchMe. So the service we use is catch.me, KATCH.me, and then /ProBlogger. That's where all my replays are kept, but it also enables us to, I guess, use embeds as well. Oh, almost pulled my cord over there. How do you start building links on your blog? So getting incoming links to your blog, I don't tend to ask for them or go out there trying to find them. I just try and write the best content that I can and hope that the quality of what I write and the usefulness of what I write will enable people to share that on social media, which sometimes then leads to getting a link on someone else's blog. That tends to be the way that I develop that. I think if you write useful content, then it tends to get shared. If you guest post on someone else's blog, do you post a link on your own? I generally wouldn't, but I would be sharing it on social media quite a bit. So I'd be posting it on my Facebook page and social media accounts. I don't know. I mean, the only time I probably would link to it is if I was writing a post that related to the content that I'd written as a guest post. I might use it there. I would probably link to it in my newsletter, that type of thing. Are travel blogs still viable? Yep, I definitely think they are. It's not an easy area to monetize. Again, a lot of the brands that want to work with travel bloggers are perhaps not willing to pay those travel bloggers. They're more used to giving away, free accommodation or discounts or that type of thing. And so sometimes I've talked to a few travel bloggers lately who have had trouble trying to monetize a travel blog. I think you could look at some ebooks and selling products. But again, it is a tricky niche to monetize, from what I've heard. But there do seem to be some quite a few, I guess, that I can think of that are full-time at what they do. Nomadic Matt is one of them. You could look at Kaz and Craig from Why Travel blog, two Aussies or a family of bloggers from Australia. Yeah, so I think travel blogging is certainly something that a lot of people aspire to. Being able to travel full time, but it can be a bit of a challenge to monetize. But to be honest, I think most niches have their own challenges to monetize. In some niches, it's just incredibly crowded and it's hard to differentiate yourself and to get the traffic. In other niches, it's more that it's just not a logical way to monetize it. It certainly will take you a few years to build up, but I think that's the case in every niche. What do I think about Creative Live? Yeah, I've met a few of the Creative Live people, and they seem to be doing a really worthwhile product. So those of you who don't know them, they're doing courses. I think it's live courses, and then you can get the replays as well. We have not done a course with them. It's certainly something we've considered though, but we've got a big enough audience that we can create our own courses and sell directly to our audience on Digital Photography School. But they're doing some really interesting things. Cool, I'm going to say goodbye there. Thanks for all the questions today. Hopefully that some of those tips earlier on the rules of blogging and finding your own path do help. And as always, please follow me. Hit the little Perry man in the corner. If you haven't followed me already, I try and do a Periscope every weekday morning, and it's usually related to blogging or social media. So if you want more of this, I'm more than happy to connect with you there, and would love to chat with you tomorrow. Thanks everyone. Hope you have a great day or evening or early morning wherever you are as well. Thanks everyone.